Online Learning Center. I'm Coach Mark Evans. Our video library consists of 6 different categories focusing on technique development in swimming, cycling, and running. We also have 3 categories for a workout whiteboard, dry land training, and question and answer. Today's video is a swimming technique and biomechanic whiteboard video that has to do with laminar flows in the water, drag, and why, for a reason you may not always think about, why the high elbow position during the pull is very important. And I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that to you on the whiteboard here, and how I oftentimes give coaching sessions with athletes to demonstrate the importance of the high elbow position. And by the way, I want to thank everyone for their comments and subscriptions to our Evans Coaching YouTube channel. It's very motivating for me to be up over 200 subscribers, and we're going to plan on continuing making these for you available on a regular basis. Let me go ahead and take a moment here, and I'm going to draw what would be the surface of the water, and then I'm going to place some lines below this position. It may not be exactly to scale, but I'm going to try to show you a swimmer here, and there's their arm recovering, there's their feet, and what we're going to show you is a dropped elbow or a straight arm pull, and that would be characterized like that. So I'm trying to show you that a person that pulls, so this would be their elbow right here at this X, and so you can see that they're, if we were to imagine them entering the water here along this dotted line, that in order to get to this point they'd have had to pull straight down. If they continued this pattern, in other words, that elbow remains straight, it's not till about at this point, so at this point here, that forces are being generated back. All of these forces are more downward and backward. So it's a downward and backward thrust. So it's more in this kind of arcing shape until it gets to this point. So at this point, where the hand is actually now pushing water or pushing against water so the body can move forward, at this point is where you're finally getting your chief amount of thrust. So, and again, this isn't exactly to scale, but this is going to represent that hand and arm now at this point. So it moves from this point here over to here. And again, it's not to scale, but it's that position that's important. So in effect, what has happened is you've taken an object or a body, your arm, and it's now that deep in the water. So as you move forward, there's oncoming flow. So as the swimmer is moving in this direction, the water creates resistance against that forward motion, so they actually collide. So the deeper or the more mass in the water, the more resistance that you're going to have. The more, again, objects, greater mass, more resistance. So this arm, in a straight arm pull, and we see this in a lot of kind of mid-level recreational swimmers, is we see that straight arm pull or that dropped elbow. Now maybe not to this exaggeration, But to get the point, I wanted you to see the depth of that arm and the amount of mass that it creates here. So not only are you getting more mass against the resistance of the water, but your pull or your propulsion, you're right here, your soonest, earliest point of propulsion, or that which at a point which propels you predominantly forward, isn't till directly under the body. Now, so we've got two things there. We've got the mass, which increases the drag, and we've got late propulsion, or late position on the propulsive point in your swim. Now, let's go back, and you've checked out some of the other videos where I talked about the high vertical forearm, high elbow with a vertical forearm in hand, open armpit, which is what I call the wing line. So let's just add another arm here. And I'm going to draw this one with dots. So this will be the second one, and we'll go ahead and put an elbow joint there, and we'll continue it down to this point, and this would be their hand. So we're now in this particular depth. We're actually half the distance, or half the depth, or half the mass as we are on the other side. So it's important there to see that we're 50% or 100% less mass, so our drag is going to be less, just from that maintenance of that high elbow or the open armpit here that I've talked about in other videos. The second point, and more important perhaps, is that your anchor point is now here versus here. So you're now pulling, or your propulsion potential is this much further out front. So you've gained that much water depth, length actually, to be able to pull water. So you're not only going to be pulling water sooner, but longer and with less mass or resistance or drag, because your object in the water is much less. And this is, if you think about it, think about planes or laminar flows under the water, and you want to have as least amount of depth on your hand as possible, as well as on your kick. You don't want too much depth back here as well. You want to have nice streamlining. And the thing that I think works very well in helping you achieve that is good length. So making sure that you have a long length along this laminar scale before you start your anchor point. And when you start your anchor point, keep the elbow high and the armpit open as you set position. This is for position, not propulsion. You want to set position, so don't be too aggressive at that point. It's a position move. It's a finesse move. And I'm sure that this video and this technique tip is going to help you make all of your swimming moves better than the last. I'm Coach Mark Evans. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We look forward to our next video for you. Take care.